When you have synergy module, when you hold with the left button of the mouse, you have 3 more options available to create basis, single component, compound. And what is the idea? Let's start single component. Each single component has 2 control points for attaching. The basis doesn't have control point of attaching because that's why we call them basis. Because when you start a new project, first you drag a base. Let me show you. So you drag a base component, just click somewhere on the screen, and that's it. So the base components doesn't need control points, but all other components needs 2 control points of attaching, or the compound has more. So now we are about to create single component. And that's why we have these 2 control points. This active X distance is a special dimension which allows us later to stretch the component. Let me show you. This one. This is because of active X. You see? It is stretching. Okay. And now we are using these conventional tools for drafting, and here now we are not thinking about any distances. We are thinking about the shape. So you start from here, draw something like this, then draw something like this, then draw something like this. Can you see now the system suggests to make a perpendicular relation between the line which I'm about to draw and this one. The system highlights it, you see?
Okay.
It is useful because what we need objects, but we need relations between these objects. So now we have a lot of relations in order not to have a gap later. Everywhere here we have on relations between beginning of one line and end of the other line. Also now we have this perpendicular relation. Okay, let me show you between this and this. In addition, I want to keep this parallel because I want this to be always horizontal to my base of the flap, so you can even manually apply some relations. You see? Okay, and now this is still not enough because we have a lot of freedom. Now you see you can change the height, you can change almost each point, the position of each point. So the next thing which is coming is to define dimensions. So dimensions between this, and even more. You don't want this to be fixed at 15. So before I click to set up a dimension, the focus is here, and I will create a parameter, for example, flap height. Hit enter, click, and the system creates a parameter which is related to this dimension. This dimension is related to this parameter. You see?
Okay, yeah.
So now, for example, you want to keep this always at 45 degrees. Why not? So you just select this and hard code here 45. So you don't have a parameter. It will be always at 45. Or if you want to, there are a lot of approaches. Or you can say, I want to define the position of this point by 2 distances. So between this and this will be my dy distance of the taper. This is just a parameter name. It's just up to you. Don't adjust this value. We will adjust them later. Okay? And now, new dimension between this control point and this control point. The focus is here. So I'm typing the xt. Now I will hit enter. Then I will click to position the dimension, and a dialog for a new parameter appears. You say OK, and now you have two parameters which manipulate this. You see? Of course, if you want, you can say initially the yt to be the same y the xt. So you can say this is the xt, which will make this again 45 degrees, but with another approach. Okay? So now, about this here, you can define this as a distance, for example, or as an angle. It's up to you. It's up to you. The final purpose is to keep to fix this point, because now I can move it left and right. You see? So some designers prefer to have angle, the other designers prefer to have a distance. Let's say this is the x1, for example. Then here, I need a distance from here to here, let's say z. Then I want this to be always at 45, so 45. Then I need from here to here something which is called ZZ, for example. This is just a name. And let's say that I think that everything is fine. Let's try. In relations, you have something which is called check geometric assumptions. What is the idea of this? When you click this button, the system takes into account your objects, together with the relations between these objects and the dimensions which are set up between these objects, and figure out if you have some geometric freedom. Now I know that I have geometrical freedom. Let me show you. When I click this button, the system says, there is something wrong with this. But in fact, the problem is that you have freedom here. Yes, finally, this one has this control point also. You see, you cannot move. You see? You have two freedoms even. We didn't fix this distance and we didn't fix this distance. So now if you have assumptions, you have to continue setting up your structure. So now let's say this here will be my angle with name beta, for example. And let's say that from here to this control point, this will be my flap correction. And now let's check. No assumptions. So now I cannot move. You see, nothing can be moved because everything is fixed with dimensions and parameters.
Okay.
You see? And when you don't have assumptions, now you could go here and adjust your default values. For example, this will be 15, this will be 2, this will be 5, and this will be 3. For example, 2, 15, and this will be 1. This will be the default values when you drag your component. But this is not enough. To use them later, you should make them global. Otherwise, you will not see them later. So you should make them global. Okay, now I'm pretending that I'm forgetting something, but let's save this file now. The system forces you to save this component in a special folder. So you should keep this main folder. You could have here your own subfolder if you want. Let's say Vanya. It's up to you. Or you can save it directly in this main folder or in a subfolder. And now let's close it and let's use it. Here it is. Let's refresh. Vanya. Okay. And now I will attach it here, but I have a problem. I have cutting line here. So in my individual component, I will draw a creasing line from this point up to this point. And the system creates relation between this one and this one, which is fine. this new object is connected to this control point and this control point, which are fixed. I mean, we still don't have assumptions. Let me show you. Even I've added a new line because it's related to another control points which are already set up precisely. For this section here, it's up to you. You can draw a cutting line just in case, to be sure that always it will be cut in cutting style. Okay, and still this is not enough, because now if I attach this file, this component here, for example, here I will have cutting above creasing. So I need this crease line to have overlapping flag. And to decrease, to count this only once, because you will have for here cutting above cutting, you can put here also overlapping flap. Otherwise, when you compute the length of your project, this will be 2 times computed. So now when you save this and use it again, oops, okay. Now you have only crease line here. You don't have cutting and creasing above each other. Okay. So this is very quick
It's very
tutorial
good, though.
how to create your single component.